Hello, everybody. My name is Garrick Goodwin. I am the founder and CEO of Overcome Money. I am here with my ultra gorgeous, ultra beautiful wife, Dipti Goodwin. She is here because we're going to sit here and we're going to discuss the top 10 money disasters couples should avoid just on their path to wealth. Okay. So if you want to avoid arguments, if you want to avoid some of the things that come along that make marriage and just relationship altogether, whether you're married or anything, just weird. That's what we're going to be talking to today. But we got a fun little twist. Okay. I am going to ask her 5 questions, or she's going to come up with 5 topics herself from the lady side. I'm going to come up with 5 topics myself from the guy side, and we're going to get this thing popping. Okay.
Oh, this
So
should be
nothing has
fun.
been rehearsed. None of this stuff. We are just actually just going to tackle it from our perspective. Okay. And I am going to start off with reason number one. Okay. Lack of communication. I cannot stress enough. First off, we've been married for about 15 years now. Okay. And
What?
I think the biggest thing that has come to mind is just the lack of communication. I know over the years, um, conversations about money just became difficult as we ended up reaching newer challenges. And so, for me personally, I know that one example that I would give for myself, or at least for guys, like we don't vocalize some of our I want to say our confusions about money, or like what we don't know, because we become very prideful in wanting to at least not look like we're incompetent about money. So I guess I'm just having a vulnerable moment about it, but I think that was probably where I didn't come and actually discuss like, hey, this is what's going on with the money. Instead, I would try to deal with problems myself. And what I've learned along the way is when it comes to communication, that when I tell her about something when it comes to money, I think she panics a little bit more. So then it justified my reason for not saying it. But that's probably like the number one killer for a lot of relationships. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And I think from, like a woman's perspective, or my perspective being your wife, I think early on when we first got married, I used to, and I think I still do it here and there till today.
Oh man. Oh man.
Like if there's upcoming expenses or something coming up, but I don't tell you like last minute. I think that happens quite often than we think between couples and in marriages that you just forget to talk about it, and if you don't do like a huddle or a pillow talk, or just kind of come together at least once in the week or whatever is coming up to talk about upcoming events, and then all of a sudden I drop the bomb saying, and by the way, I need $300 because this is coming up. And then, isn't that true?
No, it's true. I think that's what causes a lot of it, because it's not just lack of communication, it's ineffective communication as
Yes,
well too.
agreed.
So don't try to tell somebody that you're going to go spend $300 after you've had an argument or something, because it's just going to
Yeah.
add fuel to the fire kind of thing. But that should come without saying. So perfect. All right, so yours is next.
Yeah. So number two reason, differing spending habits, right? So I think that is very, I mean, we all as individuals are very different people, right? So we all have different habits that we have. So when it comes to spending money, the dynamic already between a woman and a husband, and then, or wife and husband, I guess I should say that way, or a man and a woman, it just is very different anyway. Your priorities might be different on what you may want to focus on spending that money versus myself.
Yes.
I remember when we first got married, I love shopping. I love shopping. I'm from Fiji, so I come straight here to the United States, and the US is a big shopping mall, for me. And just kind of like going wild about shopping. And I wasn't so crazy, but you just don't know what you don't know when you're young, and especially being married young, how to have those spending habits. And then when it's different from your spouse, it causes friction and
Oh
you
yeah.
don't speak about
No,
it.
no, no. Because like one, I've just never been a mall shopping kind of person. Not, I'm the in and out kind of guy. Like when I go to a mall, there's an objective and there's a thing you're
I
supposed to
think you rubbed
buy.
off on me because now I'm like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like once you start working in the realm of wealth anyway, you start to realize that a lot of your behaviors and habits just need to change. And that is a beautiful thing when you end up doing it together, because it comes back to the differing spending habits. Instead of it's like you see it that way and I see it my way, it's more like, okay, this is the way that
Right.
we are. So I totally agree. Number two is that's a big one. Like, really understand, like, if you're working with a saver or someone who's frugal or anything like that,
Yes.
everybody has differing spending habits. So I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, so number three is going to be income disparities. All right, and for those
Oh yeah.
folks that don't know about income disparities, just to kind of simplify it down, if you make more money than the other person in a relationship, okay, that's totally a killer for a lot of relationships. And you don't even have to be married for that. Like, let's say, for example, that you're actually dating somebody, and they make just like 10 times more money than you. The way that they think about spending, the way they think about money actually changes the way you even speak to each other. And what happens, what we, especially when we do our, like, our power couples calls, or our men's or women's coaching call sessions, we start figuring out that people are, they hold in what type of judgment they have about the income disparity. Like, they don't even let them know, like, I really don't like the fact you don't make as much as me. And that's crazy.
That's true.
That's absolutely crazy. That's such a killer for relationships. So for any of you folks who are out there dating, and you think like it's all love and money is not a problem, like, love who you love, like, you definitely have to have a realistic conversation about income disparity, like the income difference between you two. So
Yeah, and I just the only thing I want to add to that is I think with the there's a sense of identity you have for yourself based on what your income is, right? So if one person's income is up here and then the other spouse's income is here, your identities are probably a little bit different too
and
based
they
on
do
that because
vary.
it's
Yeah.
such a personal individual
It is. It
component.
is. It is. And that's how come, like, when it comes to being a couple, or working towards being a wealthy couple or a power couple for that sense, I think putting the nail in that coffin for a potential argument later down the road, talking about it up front, does help out. So what's number four?
Number 4 is hidden expenses. Okay.
Sounds like a professional, right? Sounds like someone who's done it way too much.
Well, in the time that we've been married, we've had it once. I've done it once, and I owned up to it. So let me tell you a
Once.
story. It is once.
Yeah, go for
Once
it.
that I can't
Go
remember.
for it.
So, hidden expenses. So this is when you probably have some debt secretly that your spouse doesn't know of. So remember, I said I love shopping. I still to this day love shopping, but in moderation and just knowing when is the right time to do it and the right card to use, right? So I remember a couple of years ago, well, this was a while back, and I think you had a job where he was in and out of the country because he would go to overseas and then come back. But anyway, so I ended up going for a job shopping because I needed a new wardrobe for my work, and I ended up opening an express card. I did not tell him. And I think it was a couple weeks later when he came back home. Somehow, I didn't hide it completely, but I ended up mentioning it.
No, you
very
got caught. You
casually.
didn't mention it. You got caught. I was just like, no, because when the
know.
payment came out of the account, it was just like, what is this? And you're like, so
Yeah, so that did happen. But fortunately, by the time we were married long enough to understand each other to the point where it wasn't such a big deal. But that is a common thing that happens in marriages between couples, where you may open a credit card and not have that conversation. At least if you did it, it's fine. But having that conversation, and when you don't, and it ends up being found in a surprising way by the other spouse, I think that's where it becomes dangerous.
Yeah, if you're a couple interested in playing Minesweeper with your emotions, go ahead and open up debts that they didn't know, okay? Because that's like, you'll end up stepping on that mine eventually. It'll come out somewhere along the way, but that's a big one. So I'm going to work on number 5. Number 5 is debt confusion, okay? And what I mean by debt confusion is that when you guys, let's say you're not married yet, or let's say you're just dating, okay? And then you bringing your debt to the table, I'm bringing my debt to the table, and now we're trying to just make the debt work together. Well, it becomes confusing because not everybody's debt is equal. Like there just isn't equal debt. Like you could have a Best Buy credit card, an Express credit card, you could have a student loan. Like all these debts, they operate differently, whether revolving debt, whether fixed, like a fixed loan or something like that. Needless to say, it adds a lot of stress. But when you're trying to navigate through these problems together, what ends up happening is that it causes an argument. It really does. You don't know which ones to tackle. You don't know which one's more important. And if you're already kind of separated in your finances anyway, now you're trying to talk about how to tackle a monster or slay that dragon that's debt. And it causes more problems than what we normally see. That is a number one. I don't want to say number one, but it's one of the top ones we get from the sessions that we do. Is that debt is just a very confusing thing for couples to talk about, and if you can't find a way to talk about it or at least level the playing field about what we are going to do, then it becomes an I and a me kind of deal, and it causes a lot of problems.
So adding to that, I think just navigating the conversation ahead, maybe when you're first dating and you're getting serious, I think that's one of the times to talk about it, or when you first get married. And so we're sharing our journey and our experience being married for almost 15 years. And I can agree with that confusion.
All right. So
Number six.
6.
This is interesting. Financial infidelity.
Ooh, see, you get all you get all these sneaky topics. Like you watch too much of like Criminal Minds and all that other stuff. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So what that means is, one of the things is hiding money or taking financial actions without the consent of your spouse. So let's talk about hiding money. I remember when I was married to Garrick early on, I met a couple of women that would say, you know what, even though you're married, you share your finances, because Garrick and I have always shared our finances together, but always put money aside. And I never liked that. To this day, I still don't think that's okay. But, hiding money or doing things without the consent of your spouse, especially when you're married, your finances are together. That is probably the other reason why you would have arguments and conflict and friction in a relationship.
Let me tell you, like we see it so many times with clients. When it's like a shocker when they end up finding out something that the other person didn't know. Okay, like in terms of their finances or debts or anything. And I want to say that it is considered infidelity because you're basically cheating on your path to wealth.
Yeah.
You really are. You really are. And I remember there was this client that we were working with. Of course, I'm not going to divulge names or anything, but there was a client that we were working with. They separate their finances. And I had to ask a very simple question like, hey, you guys, do you want to have separate or an estate together? Like, did you genuinely want an estate for your family, or did you want separate estates for your family? And when I asked them that question, it like illuminated the fact that they need to stop thinking separate and hiding things separate and doing things like just clandestine type operations when it comes to their finances. Because at the end of the day, if you're married or you're a couple looking to be a power couple, if you're on the path to wealth, you need to work together, pool resources together to tackle the challenges, but also, get to where you need to go in terms of wealth. And I know there's going to be a couple of people in the comments section, a couple of people that's not going to agree. Well, this person stole money from me or anything. Look, it is very, very simple. Like infidelity, whether it's financial or personal or anything like that, is just infidelity by definition.
Yeah.
Okay. And the way that you avoid that is just making absolutely sure that you understand what your goals are. And that leads me to number 7, financial goals. Okay.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. So this is kind of like spending habits being different, goals are different, like when being a couple and working towards wealth. So one of the biggest things that didn't mean as much. I'm going to put you on blast. Like I got to. When we first got married, I think the biggest thing that did not mean as much to her as a goal as it meant to me was legacy. I was just like, hey, I want us to have I want the family name to be there. I want us to pass things on for generation and generation. And she's coming from the beautiful islands of Fiji, and she's just like super chill islander mentality type thing, like, it is what it is kind of thing. And that caused so many arguments because we just didn't have the same perspective about what the finish line looked like for our family. Like, I remember just lots of arguments. Okay. We didn't.
No, we literally have gotten into. I can remember exactly where we were, how the conversation went down. We literally got into an argument about legacy. Like, I didn't care about legacy, and it meant a lot to him. And I think that was just such a huge gap.
I think it was just more so because like you don't look at it as a financial goal. You get trapped in the here and now instead of like the future, and you have to visualize what legacy meant. And I was always like good at foresight, and so like I thought that she understood that vision, so I would argue the vision. I would try to rationalize why you should do that. And the way that we actually corrected that was just like laying everything out on the table to say, hey, what does the end of what does the finish line look like to you? That was such a big one. And that's what you kind of get from working with us and doing a session is like, what does that look like? What does it look like? Even if you're an individual, what does the finish line look like to you? And, talk about everything, talk about the dreams and goals, talk about, hey, at the finish line, I see a rose growing right at the line or something. So, that was the next one. So
that leads us to number 8, unexpected expenses. And I think married or not, in a relationship or not, everyone's gonna have this, right? So when we were first married, and I always go back because we've come such a long way in our journey, especially being married without finances, that you look back and things are a lot different because we're in a much better position, I would say.
Yes.
To where we can talk about things and look back and probably laugh about it now, but in the moment it wasn't. But I think when we first got married, do you remember we used to say, man, there's always something. Whether the AC was breaking, we had dogs, them getting fleas.
The car is the most terrible thing. I think the reason why this is a big one for couples, and whether you're married or whether you're just starting out or anything, those unexpected expenses cause more arguments than anything else. As if life isn't random enough, you want to go ahead and poison the well of your wealth, arguing about something that was completely out of your control. Okay. And there used to be this saying that I said back when I was like 21. I thought I was creative in my mind. I used to always say, always something, never nothing.
Yes.
Okay. And that saying used to just anchor us down until I said, that is so stupid. Like it's just life, so we can't.
You got to change the language.
You got to change the language.
And we did. And I think that's where it's like, no, don't look at it like it's always something.
Yes.
And we put a positive tone to it.
Yeah. It's not even about positivity. It's just like, one thing people don't understand is that money and wealth is like water. Okay. And that's a whole nother video that I'm going to do, but you need to start looking at it like that. And one of the things is that a lot of people are used to having their own source of water, like a bottle or a well or anything like that. Right. So what ends up happening is that when you use unnecessary language, you know what it does? It poisons the well. It poisons the water source. And so, that becomes such a disputable thing. Like, don't let the unexpected things in life poison your well or tear you down.
I think what I meant to say is perspective, right?
Yes.
Like that like your perspective on that situation. And it can be it could be a major source of stress. So that was
Yes.
number 8.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. We're coming to a close, people. We're coming to a close. So number 9 is, I want to say that we've never really had this problem, but this is like a huge problem when we're reaching these sessions with people, and that's unequal contributions. I think, oh my gosh, like I don't want to disclose who these people are, but there is a couple that we have been working with for years. Okay. And this couple, they have to split everything. It may be a cultural thing. It may be just they've been married for 35 years. Okay. And I used to think it was mind boggling to hear. But the way they deal with their finances is that it comes in, they split it, and then they split the bills. And it was just like extra steps. But one thing is for certain is even when they did that and some unexpected event actually happened, contributions towards taking care of that event became unequal. So we would watch them bicker and argue when they had brought these issues to the table, and those unequal contributions they sow seeds of resentment. Okay, like you have no idea. You may not notice it. And so, hey guys, hey fellas, I'm going to tell y'all straight up. You have to up your emotional intelligence game. Okay, like you think it has to be said, you think it has to be expressed, but you have to be intelligent enough emotionally to end up picking up on the cues and the signs of how somebody is bottling something up inside based on, like, for example, I'll say, for example, this is maybe going off track, whatever, right? I'll say, for example, you're in the kitchen and y'all are just talking about something simple, and then some side comment comes, right? Oh, there's some seeds of resentment somewhere, but that's up to y'all to figure out. Okay, just saying. I'm not saying it's actually happened. I've seen it happen somewhere. I don't know, but what the point being is that unequal contributions is like that silent killer in a relationship. We from the beginning haven't necessarily had that. We've always pooled resources, and that's what's helped us work towards wealth, because we ended up ironing out the wrinkles alongside. But I'm telling you folks, like, we work with a lot of people who split up finances because of very realistic reasons, like, for example, divorces, just bad relationship experiences where money got locked up or lost or stolen. People do have their reasons, so I don't want to like downplay that. I'm just letting you know that when you're working together, because this is what it's about, working together. Okay, if the contributions are unequal, it will sow seeds of resentment. Okay, so we're gonna come to the number 10, the last one. What you got?
So let's wrap it up with number 10, budgeting styles.
Oh,
okay, man. And I think even to this day, sometimes, as we're growing up businesses, it is like, hey, what is money being spent on? I am not a big saver person, but I always wanted to have savings, like some money set aside, right? Garrick, on the other hand, not that he was reckless, but he'd rather take that money and invest it into something that's going to bring more money in. So it took a while to kind of come meet each other halfway.
Absolutely.
So that is, discretionary spending. Like, how much do you want to put aside for shopping? I always go back to shopping. How much do you want to set aside for video games? Garrick loves video games, and so we would always have all this shipment come through. And I'm like, where is all this money coming from?
The mysterious Amazon boxes.
I pre-ordered it. Yeah. I'm like, sure you did. But, it's things like that. And that could be, if you do not know how to have conversations openly and professionally in a respectful way towards each other, that could be a major cause of stress and arguments, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. So if you have someone who's like cash stuffing with envelopes and stuff, that's a budgeting style. It's effective, okay? Because someone's trying to do what they have to do to protect what they made, okay? Yeah. But I think she brought up the number one thing. There's a total difference between someone saving and someone investing. And so coming up with an intuitive way to complement both budgeting styles, super beneficial to couples. They don't know how to, a lot of folks don't realize how much that changes the kind of conversations that you have. So this has been amazing. As always, for the past 15 years, I've loved everything about you. Okay. So folks, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you have, what you're thinking in terms of what we can add onto the plate, some other disasters that people can benefit from. Let us know in the comments. Definitely make sure that you're following up with us and everything. If any of this applies to any of you, I encourage you, go to overcomemoney.com, book you a session. It is absolutely worth your time. It is an investment towards your life, towards your wealth, towards your development. Take that start, okay? Because wealth is a decision. Own it. All right. And that's all it is. So any important knowledge on that?
When he said disaster, he meant bring the disasters and we'll help you find the
Oh
solution.
yeah, no. Yeah, so please don't bring the disaster so you can cause more disasters. I really meant like, look, don't allow your problems to just sit with you. Don't allow them to just eat away or poison your well. Okay, so um, it's beautiful arrangement. I love you,
I love you too.
and we'll see you soon. Okay, take care.